Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new update video on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. Here with another update with what's been going on over the last few days or so with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Of course, the signing of Rodrigo Gomez was confirmed on Wednesday. We've got our video out for that already. If you want a little bit more of an in-depth look at our new signing, please feel free to do so on that video. But lots of other little bits and pieces that have been happening since the start of the week as well. And one really interesting one that dropped yesterday evening, that Wolves have reportedly hired a US-based bank, Moelis and Company, to potentially looking at selling part of the club to seek extra investment. Now, it's been no sort of secret that Wolves have been searching for extra investment really since we came up into the Premier League. Obviously, looking at different ways that Wolves can make money or put money into the club. And this is obviously even more important now with the sort of profit and sustainability, the new financial fair play. So it's interesting that this has come up again. Does this coincide with obviously Wolves trying to boost the books in terms of improving and increasing the season ticket prices, much to everyone's disappointment? But is this just to sort of almost boost their profile a little bit? I don't know. But ultimately, Fosun want to remain involved in Wolves. They're searching for other partners to offer support as well. But we'll have to wait and see if anything comes to fruition and whether Wolves do manage to get any new investors in the club. Of course, another piece of commercial news, we saw DBet confirmed as the official sponsor this week as well. It is going to be Wolves' biggest partnership in the club's history. They're going to be, for 2 years, the front of shirt sponsor for the club. I mean, you could look into this if you want. It doesn't look 100% legitimate, if I'm completely honest, and I really hope long term that this doesn't come back to bite the club. But we've got these for 2 years. After that, betting sponsors are banned. Front of shirt sponsors are banned in the UK. So after that, we will have to wait and see what happens. But I know Crystal Palace have got a new sponsor in a very similar situation to us as well. So we'll wait and see. Anyway, into the transfers now. We had a really interesting article today from The Athletic, Steve Madeley at The Athletic, basically doing a squad audit, really looking at every player of the squad, what the club plans to do with them, really. And I've picked out some of the key notes really from that article. The main ones being that Pedro Neto, out of all the big hitters, let's say, in the current Wolves squad, Pedro Neto is the one that Wolves are expecting to sell this summer. Of course, I'm sure Jorge Mendes and Gestifute, his agency, have been having conversations with different clubs and representatives over the last few months or so. But obviously, he's managed to get into that Portugal squad, which I was quite pleasantly surprised with, of course. And we'll probably have to wait until after the Euros or after his participation in the Euros to see what happens for Pedro Neto. But who knows, if he gets some cameo performances and if he performs well, certainly, you know, we may well see Wolves try and claw a bit of money back. But, you know, in terms of João Gomez, Ryan Aït-Nouri, maybe Matheus Cunha, out of the big guys at the Wolves squad at the moment, I think Wolves were probably expecting Pedro Neto to be the one that is sold. Talking about Gerson Mosquera as well. It sounds like, from the Wolves' point of view, the player is happy to return to Wolves, and Wolves at the moment very much see him as part of their plans ahead of the 24-25 season. There have been other reports once again over in Spain that Villarreal are still desperate to try and keep him. Marcelino, the head coach over at Villarreal, has Mosquera as his priority to try and strengthen their defence. But ultimately, if Wolves are looking to keep him, there's not much Villarreal can do unless they're going to, you know, offer a very decent sum for him. Max Kilman is another one. Wolves are happy to keep the Wolves the captain at the moment, but ultimately, if there's offers of £40 million plus, they're going to be in a position where they've got to seriously consider it and maybe looking at selling. Again, there has been reports this week from the Mail that he's a target for West Ham, and obviously Julian Lopetegui, currently the new head coach of West Ham United, is keen to be reunited with Kilman. Wolves value him, according to the Mail, at around that £45 million mark. But we do have to bear in mind as well, his former club Maidenhead will be due 10 to 15% of the profit of the sale if obviously that goes through, so they'll be getting, you know, a pretty decent amount of money out of that deal. Now it's interesting. There's a number of players when you're reading through the article that Wolves would be open to selling, of course, for the right prices. If I go through it, in my opinion, probably in terms of importance order as such, or stature order, Pablo Sarabia is one of those. Not a major surprise to me as such, because he's a very high earner. It's something that Wolves are probably trying to get away from a little bit. Very much obviously a Lopetegui signing as well. Got a decent amount of game time second half of the season, but that was predominantly due to injuries. I think if Cunha, Neto and Hwang had stayed fit, especially Hwang and Neto, Sarabia before Christmas wouldn't have got the chances in the squad, and I think he would have seriously been looking to move away in January. So I think if the right offer comes, whether it's from Spain, whether it's from possibly even Saudi for Pablo Sarabia, I think Wolves will possibly look to move on due to his wages. Daniel Podence is another one that looks like he's not got a future at Wolves. Olympiacos want him to stay, but there's still some negotiations to be had for Daniel Podence and him moving on. Fabio Silva, of course, we've already spoken about that one. It looks like his future is not a Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Wolves are looking for a permanent sale to move him on as well. Probably the biggest surprise on this list, Hugo Bueno. Again, didn't really break into the first team on a consistent enough basis last year. Struggled a little bit with injuries as well, but because of how Wolves signed him many years ago as an academy player as well, whatever we sell him for goes down as pure profit as well. So that would be a huge boost on the profit and sustainability. And ultimately, I don't know, there were clubs looking at him on loan. You know, he's very close to leaving out on loan both last summer and in January. So Hugo Bueno is definitely going to be one to watch. Not fully against it as long as obviously Wolves get an adequate replacement in. Keanu Hoover as well, was open to possibly seeing him back into the squad, but it sounds like his future at Wolves as well is uncertain, as is Chem Campbell and Luke Kundal as well. Both of those two could be sold this summer if the right offer is received. Nelson Semedo's one to watch as well. Of course, his contract runs out at the end of this coming season, but again, he's on a very big wage, so ideally, if he is to stay or extend his contract, Wolves would want him to lower his wage demands slightly. But Gary O'Neill is a huge fan of Nelson Semedo, but if they're wanting to cash in or wanting to get any sort of money, this is the time to do it. Of course, again, he's with the Portugal squad. Could start for Portugal. Has had some productive preparation games for the Euros, so could well get some a good amount of minutes. So again, hopefully that keeps his value at a decent level if Wolves were open to selling him as well. Gonzalo Guedes is another one. Of course, some of you watching this video have probably forgotten about Guedes, but it's likely that he's going to be moving, but again, it's probably going to be a loan deal this summer, either with an option or an obligation to buy. It's difficult with Guedes at the moment because on the balance sheet he's worth 15 to 16 million pounds. So to make a profit, Wolves would have to sell for that or more. And at the moment, I just don't see him. You're going to have to get quite fortunate, I think, to sell for that sort of amount. Again, last season, he had his injury problems for the first half of the season. Started to find a little bit of form and consistency towards the second half of the season. But I think you're getting another loan move out. Consistent football. Start to get in and amongst the goals again to enjoy his football. I think then, either in January or next summer, Wolves will be in a much more comfortable and healthier position to move Guedes on. And there was a few other bits. Nigel Lomvik as well, the young centre-back. Wolves happy with his progress, more than likely get him on a new contract and then possibly another loan move out again this summer. But his progress is decent, maybe a second tier, like a championship loan for him next season, and we'll see whereabouts he is as a player. But yeah, lots of updates in that Athletic article, which was obviously very good to see. Another one, this came from Bristol City Live this week, is that Wolves are amongst a number of clubs interested in Tommy Conway, the attacker at Bristol City. The Championship club are looking to sell this summer due to his contract situation. They've got contracts on the table for him, but he's just not looking to extend at Ashton Gate at the moment. We've spoken about this before. I know personally that Wolves admire this player and they're very keen on him. So I think if the right deal can be put in place, Tommy Conway could genuinely be a player, and I think a player that would join Wolves, possibly similar to Rodrigo Gomez, happy to be that sort of squad player with a view of getting minutes, trying to come on and be a bit of an impact sub. Although I do hope Rodrigo Gomez, has more of an impact than that. I think he's more than good enough. But I think Conway is that sort of player at the moment. I think he's away with Scotland in the Euros, so again, it's something that may take a few weeks before we see any sort of advance on that, but Tommy Conway definitely want to possibly keep our eye on. David Carmo as well, the big centre-back currently playing for Porto. He's out on loan at Olympiacos as well. Wolves have apparently inquired about him, as have Leicester City. I think Nottingham Forest I saw were linked as well. Very early days on that one. I know Wolves aren't really in a position where they're going to be pushing to sign centre-backs unless someone moves and leaves the club. So at the moment, I wouldn't read into this one too much. But if Kilman does go, or if Mosquera decides not to stay, I think Carmo may be an option. But at the moment, I wouldn't look into it too much as well. Danny Angel, who won the Wolves Academy Player of the Season. He's been rewarded with a new contract until 2026. He's had a really decent year for the under-18s. Next year, I'm excited to see how he gets on for the under-21s. I watched him play once or twice last season, and a really just nippy player, really likes to get in behind, really quick, got a bit of height about him as well. And I think if he can work on his composure and finishing, could be a really quality young player and a fantastic capture for Wolves. Never really played for a professional club, and to pick him up as Wolves had done is fantastic. And he even got called up for the Spain youth squads this year, which is a fantastic achievement for him. Quite an interesting one that came from Portsmouth News as well, is that Wolves are apparently set to sign the highly rated goalkeeper Xander Greaves from Portsmouth, just 14 years of age. I think there's a picture of him on the screen now. This is from a couple of years ago, so he's probably 12 or 13 on that picture. 14 years of age, but he actually started an under-18s game this year for Portsmouth, in which they won, and I think he got a clean sheet in. So very interesting that. Xander Greaves from Portsmouth. May well see him as part of the under-16 squads, maybe as a substitute for the under-18 squads, who knows. But Xander Greaves, remember the name, possibly. And to finish off, it was revealed a couple of days ago as well that Wolves, when they return to pre-season, right at the start of July, they are said to be planning a trip to Spain just for the week. Obviously, before they go to the USA, no official friendlies are expected to be played, but you may well see one or two behind closed doors games whilst they're out there as well. So, guys, hopefully that was a bit of a bumper update for you. Do let me know your thoughts on anything that we discussed in today's video. Lots of players discussed there and their futures at Wolverhampton Wanderers. As always, do hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. Thank you very much as well. We hit 17,000 subscribers, which is an amazing achievement. Obviously, on to 18,000 now, and hopefully we can continue growing over the summer because your support is always appreciated. Until next time, though, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the Euros, which is obviously kicking off tonight, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon.